My name is Kane, and I'm 31 years old. At my cousin's birthday party, my sister played hostess like she was auditioning for some kind of reality show. She strutted around in her matching pastel outfit, her perfect smile never slipping as she handed out party favors, carefully curated for each child she thought deserved them. But when it came to my daughters, her tone changed. Her hands paused for the briefest second before she passed them each a plain white bag. Inside, there was nothing but a sticky note that read, "Try harder next year." We didn't argue. We didn't make a scene. We just gathered our things and slipped out quietly the next morning before anyone could pretend to care. Later, when my sister opened her front door, she screamed so loud that a neighbor called the police. And honestly, I can't say I was surprised. If you've ever been betrayed by the very people who were supposed to love you the most, family, you'll understand exactly what that scream meant. Because here's the truth. When I saw that bag, my heart didn't even drop. I didn't gasp or feel the world tilt the way people describe in those movie scenes. It felt expected, like something I'd been preparing for all along, waiting for the inevitable moment when my sister would take things one step too far. The party itself was her masterpiece. Her house gleamed like it had been staged for a magazine shoot. Balloon arches that stretched across the ceiling, matching tablecloths, dessert towers tall enough to cast shadows. Every detail screamed perfection. The twin birthday kids wore shirts that said, "Born to Shine," and my sister soaked in the attention like sunlight. Children darted through the yard, clutching glittering gift bags that looked more like treasure chests, names written in gold letters, ribbons, stuffed toys, candy, trinkets that sparkled. My 7-year-old daughter held hers like it was something sacred. That morning, she'd spent half an hour choosing her outfit. A purple dress with a silver sparkly headband she swore made her look like a galaxy princess. She'd practiced her happy birthday in the car over and over until she got the tone just right. She'd even made handmade cards for her cousins, filled with stars she drew herself and signed with love. She was nervous, shy in crowds, but she tried. And I was proud, so deeply proud, just for walking into that house with her head held high. My husband and I stood by the snack table, exchanging polite smiles with relatives who barely remembered our names. My sister barely acknowledged us. My mother shot me that tight warning smile that said, "Don't cause trouble." My father didn't even look up, busy slicing ham like it was a task of national importance. Then came the moment that would burn into my memory, the gift bags. One by one, children squealed as they opened their glittering treasures. Plush animals, mini water bottles engraved with their initials, bubble wands, stickers, and toys. Laughter filled the room, that shrill, excited kind that comes from pure joy. Then my daughter's turn came. My sister handed her a plain white bag, creased, nameless, dull. A crooked sticky note stuck to the front. "Try harder next year." My daughter frowned, uncertain. Her small fingers reached inside, hopeful. Out came a broken crayon, an old eraser, and a single peppermint candy, unwrapped halfway, the edges sticky like it had been forgotten at the bottom of a purse. That was it. She stared into the bag for a long moment, as though searching for something that had to be hiding deeper inside. When she looked up at me, her big eyes shimmered, not with tears yet, but confusion. She didn't understand. Her hand found mine, hesitant, like she was trying to figure out if she'd done something wrong. And then the laughter started. My sister laughed first. Loud, sharp, deliberate. "She's been acting out lately," she said, her tone dripping with false humor. Interrupting, talking back, throwing fits over tiny things. Just thought I'd give her a little reality check. My mother chuckled like it was endearing. "Honestly, it's good for her, Kane. You baby her too much." My father gave a half laugh, half grunt. Kids need to toughen up sometime, and that was it. That was my breaking point. Not the insult, but the ease of it. How normal it felt to them. How quickly they dismissed my child's hurt as entertainment. The other kids started giggling too. They didn't know why. Kids rarely do. They just followed the adult's lead. My daughter pressed her lips into a trembling smile, the kind that's meant to hide the ache, to pretend she's fine. My husband saw it too. He crouched down, took the bag gently from her hands, and said softly, "You don't need this. Let's go get some real cake." That was all it took. We stood up, still calm, still silent. No tears, no words. We just took her hands and walked out, steady, deliberate, like walking out of a burning building. No one stopped us. No one called after us. At home, my daughter curled up on the couch, still clutching her handmade birthday cards. She stared at them for a long time, tracing the glittery stars she'd drawn earlier. "Was it because I didn't say thank you fast enough?" she whispered finally. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "No, sweetheart. It's because some people forget how to be kind." She nodded, small and solemn. Then she hugged those cards to her chest as if they could shield her from what she'd just learned. She fell asleep wrapped in the blanket her dad gave her last Christmas, the one that says, "You are safe. You are strong. You are loved." My husband made tea while I sat at the table in silence. There wasn't much to say. This wasn't a shock. It was the last straw. Finally, he broke the silence. I paused the payments. Rent, groceries, utilities, everything. I nodded slowly. Then I opened the kitchen drawer, the one with the important folder I'd been keeping for years. Inside were printed emails, text screenshots, receipts, proof of all the ways I'd been covering for my sister, for our parents. The Venmo transfers, the property tax I'd paid, just until they got back from their cruise, the time she begged me to watch her kids so she could take a self-care retreat. The folder was thick. I added one last thing, the sticky note. "Try harder next year." I slipped it into a clear plastic sleeve right on top. My husband met my eyes, said nothing, but the look said it all. Finally. The next morning, I dropped something off quietly. No note, no warning, no confrontation. Just the truth, placed exactly where it needed to be. They wanted to teach my daughter a lesson. Fine. They were about to learn one too, because it didn't start with her. That's the cruel part. It should never have touched her. She should have been safe, loved by everyone she was born into. But it started long before her. It started with me. Growing up in our house meant learning to perform, to read the room like your life depended on it, to smile when you were hurting, to pretend when you were invisible. Emma, my sister, was always the favorite. That was the family's unspoken truth. It didn't need to be said. It hung in the air like perfume, sweet, constant, choking. They lit up for her in ways they never did for me. Her smallest stories were adorable. Her wins were monumental. Mine? Background noise. When I came home in 3rd grade clutching my perfect attendance certificate, proud beyond words, my mother barely glanced at it. "Emma got Student of the Month," she said. "That's a much bigger deal." When I earned a B+ in math after months of struggling, my dad just muttered, "Your sister never brought home less than an A." When I landed the lead in the school play, they skipped it. For Emma's volleyball practice. Not a game, not a tournament practice, my birthdays, always shared with hers, even though we were born nearly 2 months apart. Once we got one shared present, rollerblades. Emma's size, of course. I grew up too much and never enough all at once. Too quiet, too sensitive, too dramatic, too opinionated. There were no bruises, no shouting, just that steady hum of never being enough. At 15, I came home crying after being falsely accused of cheating. My mother's response? "Well, you do keep to yourself. Maybe you seem suspicious." At 17, I told them I thought I might be depressed. My mom rolled her eyes. "Everyone thinks that these days." "You're just bored," Emma laughed. "You're so dramatic." Then she took my charger and never gave it back. When I left for college, they didn't even show up. They mailed me a card a week later with $25 and a sticky note. "Don't blow it." I didn't blow it. I built a life, found therapy, learned to name the things that had been done to me. Neglect, scapegoating, control. When I met my husband, I still flinched at being too much. Once I apologized for crying during a movie, and he just handed me a tissue, saying, "Yeah, that scene hit hard." Like it was nothing. Like my feelings were allowed to exist. He was the first person who ever asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and then actually listened. When I told him about my family, I softened it, made it sound eccentric instead of cruel. He didn't press, but after meeting them for the first time, he squeezed my hand under the table and whispered, "You weren't exaggerating." And still, somehow, I let them back into my life when our daughter was born. Because that's what we do, isn't it? We hope. We try harder next year. I wanted her to grow up with a big family. Cousins, holiday traditions, doing grandparents. I wanted her to have the kind of childhood I never got. At first, the comments were subtle. My sister made remarks about my daughter's outfits. She dresses a bit different, doesn't she? My mom insisted on forced affection. Don't be rude, sweetie. Give Uncle Bill a proper hug. My dad made fun of her when she cried at loud sounds. She'll need to toughen up if she wants to survive in this family. I tried to explain. I told them she had sensory processing challenges, that she needed understanding, not ridicule, that she was trying her best. They brushed me off, rolled their eyes. "You're overreacting, they said. Emma accused me of being a snowplow parent, claimed I was raising a future pushover, and the moment I began setting boundaries, I became the issue. I was labeled the problem, the difficult one, the dramatic one. Every time I stood up for my daughter, I was met with the same weapons they once used on me. Dismissal, sarcasm, cold shoulders. Sometimes they even acted like they pied me, which hurt more. She just wants to feel important. I once overheard my mother whisper to Emma, unaware I was within earshot. "Let her have this," she said, as if defending my child was a passing phase or a meltdown. And I let it slide. I let it go more times than I could possibly count because part of me still hoped they might change, might finally understand, might finally see her. But they never did. They only saw themselves. Their need to feel in control. Their obsession with the family pecking order. My daughter wasn't an individual to them. She was just next in line to receive the same treatment they gave me. Only this time I recognized it, and this time I had a choice. I could keep giving them opportunities to chip away at her the way they did to me, or I could end it. I chose her. I chose me. And tomorrow they'll understand exactly what that means. We didn't get much sleep that night. My daughter eventually drifted off, still clutching the birthday card she'd made for her cousins in her tiny fingers. I stayed awake on the couch, staring at the blinking cursor on my screen, daring me to finish what I'd begun. At 4:07 a.m., I emailed the landlord, the one who manages the duplex where my sister lives. I explained that I would no longer be covering the monthly supplement we'd agreed upon. It was never officially documented, but the landlord knew my name, knew the rental ways came from our bank account. His reply came within 20 minutes. Understood. I'll inform her of the updated balance today. At 4:41 a.m. exactly, my husband began drafting the letter to the loan company about the car. Our names were on the paperwork. Our credit was on the line. Our money had made the down payment. Emma had defaulted twice before we stepped in. This time we didn't step in. We stepped out at 6002 Hernam. We printed everything. Text, emails, screenshots of group messages where my daughter was called difficult, where Emma wrote, "She's going to be just like her mom." Oversensitive and exhausting. There was even a voice memo, a clip from Christmas 2 years ago when my mother, not realizing my husband was recording a family moment for posterity, leaned into Emma and said, "Don't bother getting her anything nice. She never appreciates it anyway." They were talking about me by 7 a.m. It was all in the folder labeled annotated, bound with a crimson ribbon. I found in the junk drawer a ribbon from one of Emma's kids' birthdays. I didn't plan that part. It just felt right. At 7:30, we drove to my sister's house. No words, just the envelope. My husband placed it gently on the doormat. We rang the bell and left. We were halfway down the street when we heard it. The scream unrestrained a sound that ripped out of her like it had been living in her throat for years. I didn't turn around. My husband gripped the steering wheel tighter, and for a moment, he smiled. Later, I found out the neighbor came outside in his robe, assuming someone had been hurt. He called the police when he saw Emma on the front lawn, red-faced and frantic, clutching the folder like it was radioactive. When the officers arrived, she tried to tell them it was harassment, that her crazy sister was trying to destroy her life. They flipped through the folder. Then they calmly told her it was a civil matter, nothing illegal, nothing worth escalating. This is the truth. By noon, my phone had exploded. 38 messages from my sister. The first few were all caps rants. "What the hell is wrong with you? You think this is funny? Then came the guilt. We're family. You can't do this to us. Then the begging pleas. You can't just stop paying like this because of a joke. Then the threats. If you don't take this back, you'll regret it. Walked. My mother called 4 times, left a voicemail on the 3rd. You've taken this too far. This family has always had problems, but you just lit a match. What do you want from us? She sounded more angry than sorry. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the digital version of the folder to our extended relatives, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. Not with commentary, just a simple subject line in case you ever wondered why we stopped showing up by the end of the day. I had 20 replies. Half of them were some version of I had no idea. One cousin sent a single line, good for you. The real fallout started 2 weeks later. The landlord followed through. Emma had 30 days to pay the full amount or face eviction. The loan company flagged the car. Her late payments triggered a review and she received a warning. My husband smiled when he saw the notification. My parents called my husband. Not me, my husband. She won't listen to us, my mom said. But maybe she'll listen to you. Tell her we're sorry. Tell her she doesn't have to do this. He told her the truth. She's not doing this to you. You did it to yourselves. They showed up at our house the next morning. My daughter saw them through the window. Her face went pale. I met them at the door. Didn't let them in. We just want to talk. My dad said, "This is getting out of hand." "No," I said. "This is called consequences." My mom tried to cry. There were no tears. I didn't budge. They left a card in the mailbox. One of those generic sympathy ones. Inside it said, "We miss our family." I sent it back with a sticky note. So did I. And then I went back inside where my daughter was reading on the couch, her legs tucked under a blanket, her face peaceful. She looked up and asked, "Were they mad?" I shook my head. "They were loud. That's not the same." She nodded. That night, my husband took us out for ice cream. We didn't celebrate. We just breathed. But in that quiet breathing, there was something new. Peace. And it was loud as hell for about a week. There was silence, or rather quiet rage, humming just beneath the surface. My sister had gone nuclear. Sure, but after the initial scream, the flurry of texts, and the failed attempts at guilt, things went dark for a moment. I thought maybe that was it. Maybe finally they had gotten the message. They hadn't. Days after the front door folder drop, my daughter came home from school with a note in her backpack from Emma. It was on pastel stationery with little hearts on the edges like it was meant for a child. Inside the message was short. "If you ever feel sad or confused, remember Auntie, Emma loves you. You can call me anytime, even if your mom says no." My daughter looked up at me confused. Did I do something wrong? I felt the fury rise in my throat before I could stop it. This wasn't just about boundaries anymore. This was manipulation, targeted, deliberate, and low. I called the school immediately. Turns out my sister had used one of her friends' names to get access to drop something. Off for a niece, no ID check, no oversight, just a sticky smile and a name. That afternoon, I filed a formal no-contact order with the school, with the district, and with the police. I sent a cease and desist to both my sister and my parents. My lawyer sent a follow-up. 2 days later, a fake account started tagging me on social media, calling me ungrateful, posting blurry childhood photos with captions like, "Some people forget who raised them." Another, anonymous message read, "Just remember kids grow up one day. She'll know what you did." That was the final crack. I sent everything to my lawyer, who forwarded it to law enforcement. My sister posted a crying selfie captioned, "When your family turns on you." Cue the sympathy parade until the truth started leaking quietly. One aunt, then a cousin, then another cousin. Screenshots circulated, voicemails were replayed. People saw the receipts the same way I had. My parents didn't take it well. They tried to rally the extended family with an emergency Zoom call. I wasn't there. But apparently when someone asked why I hadn't been invited to Grandpa's birthday last year, my mother froze. Another person spoke up, questioning why Emma had been dipping into the family emergency fund when she was the only one with a steady paycheck. Someone else brought up the birthday incident, asking if the story circulating was really true. It was. By the end of that call, 4 people had quietly left the meeting. My parents stopped posting family event photos online. My sister shut down her account altogether. Then came the letter, a frantic, meandering note from my mother written in blue ink on her monogrammed stationery. "Family is complicated. We made mistakes, but at the end of the day, we're all we've got. Don't punish everyone forever over one misunderstanding. Your daughter will regret the distance, and so will you. Didn't answer. Instead, I had the letter framed and placed it on the wall right next to the sticky note that had started everything. Try harder next year. After that, I helped my daughter string fairy lights around her new bed. She chose the gentle kind, the ones that shift colors slowly, as though they're breathing. Her own breathing had shifted too. Softer now, calmer, no longer tight and anxious like it used to be. She made 2 new friends in art class. Sweet, thoughtful girls who didn't tease her when she needed quiet or wore earplugs. She started sleeping through the night again. One morning, she looked at me and said, "My heart doesn't feel like it's buzzing anymore." I pulled her into a hug so tight, she gave a little squeak. And then something else happened. At the end of the school year, her class hosted a family day. Students could invite one adult to share cookies and display their artwork. Naturally, she picked me. Her project was a painting, swirls of galaxies and soft pink comets. In the corner, in bold black paint, she had written, "Safe is better than big." On the drive home, I asked if she wanted Toast Stop for ice cream. She said yes, then hesitated. "Mom, yeah, baby, you did the right thing. Even if they call you mean, even if they never speak to us again, you did the right thing." I swallowed hard against the knot in my throat. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means everything." She leaned back in her seat, smiling softly. Later that night, I checked my email one last time before going to sleep. There was a new message from Emma. No subject line, no greeting, just 6 words. "Are you happy now, Yuan?" I didn't respond. I didn't need to, but she had it wrong. I didn't win. I walked away, and for the first time in my life, I didn't turn back. Maybe I went too far. Maybe not far enough. Sometimes I still wonder if I should have said more that night at the party, or if leaving in silence was actually the loudest thing I've ever done. I think about what my daughter will carry with her someday, and more importantly, what she won't have to unlearn. Because I put a stop to it when I did. But now I want to ask you, if it had been your child, what would you have done? Would you have walked away, pushed back harder, let it go entirely? Tell me in the comments. What choice would you have made? Did I make the right call, or did I go too far? And if you want more stories like this, unfiltered, real, and honest, don't forget to hit subscribe.